some music here. Too loud. Her level is low. That little gal just sent me a video. No, she commented on Heart of Gold, and then I don't know. There's too many now for me to like go to every page and. But I really like that. There's something genuine about this girl. She's like, looks like she's 40 at least. That'll probably be too loud, the rest of the stuff. Man, a windy day. But I think I covered this yesterday, actually, down in at Trent Restaurant. That dog. I gotta turn that down. Somebody posted on Clocks in Italian. The Italians just are really full of life, man. I love them. Greeks and Italians are awesome. They always post bravo. You know, it's their thing, I guess. That's so simple. I like it. Bravo. Yeah, that girl's one of those that just, you know, you can tell she's had a hard life. Folsom Prison Blues by Missy, and still stuck with it all this time. Pretty too, you know. A lot of times people will come to your page, and when they upload something and it's like it's been a few days, it's got like 3 hits, you know. And I don't mind. People will come and comment on one of your songs hoping that you'll go back and see who commented and look at their latest thing, which I look at a lot of them. I really do look at a lot of them. What else? Yeah. Welcome to Eric's resent and name drop a log. Resent a log and name drop a log. Damn it, I got something in my eye. Yeah, I did a couple of songs. I'm still doing this Pink Floyd thing. I have like at least a dozen songs that are really nicely recorded and well done by all kinds of different bands, and I'm kind of at a point I need some disk space to do more video, and without deleting anything. I haven't deleted anything in 30 years. I keep everything because you never know when it's like you put everything on a disk array, you know, and you can search it, and it's like I need that one document with that address, name, and phone number that's unobtainable anywhere else. I need that worse than the breath of life, and it's so great to go up on a network and just enter it, and it comes up from 1987, you know, literally. so I don't delete anything. Emails are so small in size, there's no need to delete most stuff. It's so small in size. In kilobytes. Just waking up. A lot of pain lately. A lot of pain, physical pain. Had to trying to see what's in my favorites there. I don't even know what that is. But yeah, yesterday was a weird day. Oh, that's Little Big Man. My favorite all-time movie is called Little Big Man. I'll tell you how I got off. Somebody sent me a video, and I don't even remember what it was. Oh, Uriah Heep stealing, which a really great local band used to cover in a spectacular way, and in Joplin, Missouri, in the early '80s, and they had a certain bar there, and that reminded me of the Scorpions, the zoo that they also used to open up with and just kill every time. They had their shit together, light and sound, you know. And then that reminded me of a certain style of bar there where I used to go, King of Clubs, and the style of bar was the same as it is at Chianti Cucina in Los Angeles, which is now closed. It was the best, by far the best restaurant in town. And in LA they have a thing where the best places don't advertise at all. You just kind of gotta know, you know. And man, that may be too loud. And I'll close the door for a minute. So you just kind of got to know where to go, and they do that with clubs too. Like on one night, a club will be, it's called one thing. It's called Peanuts on one night, and then the other night, the other night of the week, it's called, who knows, Dance Your Head Off or something. And they don't advertise, nothing really, cool advertises there. And so you just kind of got to know. And if you know people, my girlfriend Mary Beth started taking me to all the good restaurants, and these unknown restaurants like Off Vine is awesome in Los Angeles, and it's like a house where these people, it's only seats like 10 maybe, 5 tables with 2 people at them, and I don't remember if it's reservation only, I think, but you go there and these people are just, they love cooking, and they have a menu, and you just go and order, and it's like in their living room, but it's nice. I mean, and they're good, and it's hidden behind these deals, these vines and stuff. Off Vine, on Vine, near Hollywood and Sunset and Vine, or Hollywood and Vine, but stuff like that. But Chianti Cucina is by far was the best restaurant in town, and my studio was it was real close. And that's where I learned. Mary Beth took me there first, and then I started going on my own to all those places on my own with other girls eventually, and that's where I learned, like, fine food, She taught me a lot about food. I mean, this is the early 90s, and food preparation and stuff, and just, you're not talking like, the joke with her was like, she'd talk about her family, and she'd go, yeah, they're the kind of people who think Sizzler's like fine dining, and I sort of understood that, because that was my point of view at one time. But when you get kind of hip to it, the food there is so pure and so good at Chianti Cucina that you get a buzz on it. I mean, and the other thing that reminded me of that, I somehow these videos that I got brought me to Little Big Man, which brought me to Little Big Man is my all-time favorite movie. If you haven't seen it, it's epic, it's awesome, it's wonderful. I have several Faye Dunaway stories, but I'll get to those another time since people just love name dropping so much. I never do it in real life, you know, because most people are so far away. Even my family and friends, they're so, it just seems so like tall tales or impossible. That, and I remember that, you know, I thought I would never meet a famous person growing up where I did, you know, as a cowboy on a ranch, and I never, you know, I mean, it just seemed impossible. It was never going to happen. But, you know, so I can tell sometimes when I first left Los Angeles, I would be talking and I'd see that glazed look in their eye like, oh, he's just making shit up, or, you know, and it's like, dude, think it through. I owned a recording studio, like, where they define Hollywood with a red pen, you know, on Google Maps. It's like for 30 years, you know, it's probably met a few folks, you know, but it's there. It just becomes every day you run into somebody or something, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, but I kind of enjoyed it. So anyway, and people hate it. My friend Elizabeth, who was married to digress quickly, was married to Paul Butterfield. We were good friends for a long time. Used to pal around after he died, and I met her in one of those 12-step programs. And we had both left LA, and I called her a couple years ago, and she was like, I go, man, don't try telling people outside of LA you know anybody famous. They hate your fucking guts. And she goes, yes, isn't it true? They're so jealous and envious. And she goes, I don't even talk about it anymore. And you know, it was like we had that in common. It's just so different out of LA. And we were both, she knew me when I was in the thick of it, you know, with my businesses and stuff. And but we kind of had, I don't know, I'm also friends with Brian Ray, who still plays guitar with Paul McCartney. And check this out, she found out I'd been in touch with Brian, who was my first sponsor in one of those 12-step programs. And so we knew each other intimately for a year or so, you know. And I never really got, I don't know, I mean, I can go either way on Brian. Don't care for his music. So anyway, she got really jealous and got into a tizzy over that. We're not friends anymore, let's say that. And I'm just like, you know, she was an internet newbie and misunderstood something, and it got blown out of proportion. But, God, yeah, I got sidetracked. So, yeah, it's just weird. It's a different world, and I don't talk about, you know, famous encounters in real life, because most people, it's so far from them, they don't believe it, and if they do, they're jealous, you know, or they just hate you just because. Right? It's like Ben Stiller in that movie. I wrote the book. It's called The Boy, the Boy That Everyone Was Jealous of. You know? But, this, it made me really sad yesterday, because when I got to, and I haven't been sad, you know, in years, but when I got to Little Big Man, reminded me of Jeremiah Johnson. And when I got there, it reminded me of Sidney Pollack, who became sort of it's hard to say, like a close acquaintance of mine for a long time, because of Chianti Cucina, this restaurant. And I found out he had died yesterday, and I always felt good. Sidney always I didn't even really know him, never went to his house, never palled around with him, but I came into this restaurant when I was just a kid in the 90s after Mary Beth showed me where it was and that it was there actually, and it was cool and hip, you know, and it was great. It's great. It was by far, bar none, the best food in Los Angeles, Italian. And I went in with this hot chick, and I didn't drink then or use drugs, didn't drink or use, and she wanted to drink some wine. And I saw this kind of guy, he looked like he was sophisticated, and they were drinking wine, had several bottles open at the table, and they weren't like chugging it, they were sipping it, but it looked like a very friendly guy. So I was like, when I said, I got to go to the bathroom to her, and when I walked by, I go, hey man, I'm really sorry to bother you, but you guys look like you really know wine. What is like a great wine that I can buy to impress this chick for like $100 and under, you know? I was going lowball, you know. I was like, hopefully 50. And a real nice guy, you know. He goes, oh, well, you got to have the red with the thing and the stuff, you know. This one, they're not even numbered. I forget, we count down so many and get that one. It'll impress her, you know. And I did, it did. So a few months go by and I went back in, and that was Sidney Pollack, you know. You'll know, he's a character actor. I didn't even know who he was or anything until much later, years later. Until just a while ago, I didn't know he directed The Way We Were, as well as Out of Africa and Jeremiah Johnson and all these movies. Some of my favorite movies, a lot of them. I think Tootsie, I mean, huge stuff, you know. So a few months later I saw him. I went into Chianti Cucina, and airplanes. I'm not even gonna, I'd like to look at it, but it hurts my eyes. The sun's right there. So I went into Chianti Cucina a few months later, and they have a bar place where you can kind of hang out and drink wine. It's not crowded in there at all. So it's seated total of like 50, and usually like 20, 30 were there. So I walked in, and he was at the bar, and I recognized him, the guy with the wine recommendation, and he had seen this pretty girl I was at, and he saw me come in, I saw him, and he goes like, come here, you know. So with the girl, how goes it, you know? And I go, oh, it went pretty well. And we kind of talked, and I sat there and talked to him. Then a few months more, I saw him several times, and then like a year later, I'd broken up with that girl and several others. I came in, he was there, you know, at the bar, having a glass of wine and waiting for dinner or whatever. He wasn't a drunk or anything. Sipped wine, you know. And I think the music came back on. Oh, Voices, the Police, Dwayne Bailey. Anyway, that's name drop a lot. The guy who used to play guitar with Bob Seger turned me on to this song. Does a great version of it. And so some time passed, and I saw him, and Sidney Pollack at Chianti, and we'd gotten to know each other by face over a few years, you know. And so we'd always hang out and talk, and this time I was brokenhearted, you know. And I went in and I was talking. This is when we really began to sort of develop a friendship of kinds, you know, an acquaintanceship or whatever. And I went in, and he was sitting at the bar, and he waved me over, you know, come on, sit down, have a glass of wine. I think by that time I did drink again, you know, and I had a drink or two, and I was trying to tell him, he was like, so, lady killer, how goes it with the ladies, you know? He's the guy in that Forgetting Sarah Marshall movie, the doctor. He's like, Peter, you're sitting on a fire truck, have you noticed? Use a rubber, get laid, now get out. He's that guy, you know. He's a king of understatement. So I was trying to tell him this big, long bullshit story about how I'd had my heart broken and this and that and the other. And he stopped me about 2 minutes in. He put his hand, he'd like to put his hand on your shoulder. He goes, Eric, we knew each other's names by then. He goes, Eric, I had a girlfriend once. It worked out. In other words, he was just saying, dude, you're young, don't worry about this shit, and don't tell me about it. Um, so we became friends, and then he sort of knew some of my story, and he knew one time he said, well, what do you do? I go, I work in the music industry. He goes, oh yeah, everybody does, film or music. I'm like, what do you do? I work in the film business, and he goes, but I forget about that. I'm into music. What do you do? And I'm like, no, let's not talk shop. And I never really talked to him about film ever, his films or anything. I didn't really know that. I didn't know till just now everything he'd done. But yeah, he was just such a great friend and a great guy. And what was the other thing? Oh, when he did, his talent for understatement. He did a movie called The Civil Action where he plays a mean lawyer, and for the corporations, and I saw that and I realized he didn't start really doing character acting till like the last 10 years of his life. So by this time it's like 10 years after I met him at least, and know him by face and talk to him quite a bit, every couple of months, and I went in and what was the deal on that one? Oh yeah, I was a little strung out and a little, having a few drinks, a little strung out, and he waved me over. I went over and sat at the bar with him, and always about 5, getting dark or before 9, legit guy, and it was neat to know him, and but he had done a Civil Action. He plays a mean lawyer, and I go, hey, I saw that acting thing you did, a Civil Action. I liked the movie a lot, and I thought, it was pretty good. And he goes, oh yeah, that. And it was about the water. It was about the water, which is this big ego movie, about John Travolta, and it's basically Tom's River, New Jersey, I think. Anyway, I liked it. But yeah, he was just that kind of guy. And the very last time I saw him, he was like my friend. He always made me feel good. More than once, I'd be there with a girl bombing out, and he would kind of look over and see that and walk by and put his hand on my shoulder and go, hey, how are you? Because he knew, a couple of my girlfriends were like, oh my God, Sidney Pollack, I can't believe you fucking brought me here. I'm not dressed. I want to be an actress. It's like, shut up. I didn't know he was here either. But, yeah, the last time I saw him, it was really cool, man. I got, had some drinks too many there, and at Chianti, too much wine. He knew that too. He didn't have too much. I had like 4 or 5 glasses in quick succession. I had a classic Ford truck. It was like old, and it looked great, but it was kind of having trouble running. And the valets the brakes went out on them, and they ran it up on the sidewalk, and I was drinking, and there was all kinds of trouble, and he could tell I was strung out, and he came outside where they were, and he kind of looked at me, put his hand on my shoulder again, he goes, trouble, huh? And I go, yeah, man, I'm broke, I didn't bring my wallet, things are different than they were now, and all of this stuff, and he kind of stood around, and he went behind me. I thought it was going back in, or he's leaving with his people or his friends, his wife, whatever. And he came up behind me, and he handed me like a business card, folded in half, and he said, all right, I want you to take a cab. It's a nice truck and everything, but everybody knows, everybody can see, knows that. That's very nice, but, you're having problems here. You forgot your wallet here, whatever. And he handed me a business card folded in half, and it was a card to a cab company with $100 folded up in it, And that was the last time I saw him. But what a cool guy! I always felt really like I had a friend, And it's, you go for different people than what you are. So he was kind of interested that I was like from the country and there in LA doing all that stuff, And anyway, I was just real sad yesterday to find out he had died. And yeah, so that's that. But look him up, because he's a neat actor. He's always funny, a neat actor, and he's directed tons of stuff, you know. And I have a bunch of other things that happened with him, but I've already talked about it a lot. But it just, yeah, it was sad, you know. Died in '08. So, yeah, that's just one of the things that happens to you, you know. And I really can't tell anybody in real life about that kind of stuff. And maybe someday somebody will get a kick out of that. Maybe his family will watch it someday, his wife. He was a great guy, you know. That's just all that was on my mind yesterday. And the movie Little Big Man is awesome, and Jeremiah Johnson is awesome. He did not direct Little Big Man, but he did direct Jeremiah Johnson, and The Way We Were, and Out of Africa. 3 movies I really like, and dozens of others. He's a cool guy. He was a cool guy. So yeah, that was a bummer. Work continues on. May or may not upload this, I don't know. Rapper ending. Yo, I'm out. That was nice. Stealing was on. The upshot of this song is I was stealing when I should have been buying. I love that.